Hey, everybody, welcome to Automation Tech Talk. Sean Tierney here. It's been a long time since I've used StreamYard, and they've actually added some really cool things. I can actually see if my mic is working. So please leave a comment in the chat. We're going out live to LinkedIn and YouTube. Of course, this will be released over on the podcast and at the Automation blog later when I'm done lunch. But in any case, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the thought process behind this show. I learn so much every day, and I can't keep up with the courses. I can't add everything I learn into my courses or do like full blown productions on it. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me just meet up with all my followers on LinkedIn and YouTube and just share what I'm learning. And then I can just watch the chat and see if you guys have anything else to say about it. And that way, all this stuff I'm learning every day, I can get right back out to you guys, and you guys can share what you're learning with me. And very informal, type of show. So that is what Automation Tech Talk Lunchtime Edition is all about. I'm doing this to my lunch because I'm not making money from this. But in any case, I do want to say thank you to all my students at the Automation School, and thank you to all my members on YouTube and the Automation blog. Thank you guys very much. Now, I am I wanted to bring the news show back, but it's like 3 hours a day and it makes zero money. So it's just like I can't invest the time to do that. And so that's why I'm doing the show. But I'm going to reuse the news show podcast. So if you're listening to the podcast, you're like, hey, Sean did a news show and you're getting this instead. It's expensive and time consuming to spend a new podcast. So I'm thinking from talking to some of the listeners out there, I'm thinking you guys would enjoy this. Maybe not as much as the news, but maybe as close to it as I can provide right now. With all that said, thank you again for tuning in. And today, what I wanted to talk to you is about low cost Ethernet PLC. So, as an instructor, I'm always looking for how people can get learn PLCs, right? Programmable controllers, PACs, PLCs, whatever you want to call them. They are like, to me, the heart of an automation system. The IO comes into that. Devices talk to the IO talks to the controller. HMIs and SCADA talk to the controller. IoT connections, IoT connections. So that's like the brain of the system, always has been, right? And it's kind of like the motherboard in our computers, right? And so, I think people will always want to learn them as long as we have control systems. And I know some people will say, well, there's DCSs and there's this, that, and I understand that. I understand that. But in any case, so, I recently posted, and let me see if I can share it with you. I recently posted over on LinkedIn. Let's see if I can get this up here and bring it over to the right screen. And let's see if we can go to this. Again, I haven't used this in a while, so it's a little new for me. But in any case, this is not what I wanted to show you. Let's see if we can show something else here. Let me see. Bear with me a second. Share screen. Let's share the whole screen. I think that will be that. Okay, great. So this is LinkedIn. I've tried to clean up all the red spots. Of course, I got more now. But I was talking about the code sys first scan, and a lot of people totally misunderstood me, even though they were trying to add helpful advice. And I appreciate everybody. I got a shout out to some of the guys. I don't want to say the names, but several people in there were super awesome and helpful. But one of the things this post over on LinkedIn got me to talking about was, what happened to the sub $300 PLC, Ethernet PLC, right? And so what I did is I'm like, it's been a long time since I looked for a sub $300 PLC with Ethernet, and that's the key for me, Ethernet, right? Because nobody wants to use a serial cable these days. USB is not bad, but Ethernet is better, right? So I said, I used to really be a big fan of the Micro 820. I still am. I guess I should say I still am. But in any case, you can see here in Proposal Works, I updated it recently, and it's showing it at 397. Now, this model used to be 249 or 279. I'm thinking this is the 279 model. But in any case, you can see how much inflation we've had over the last 10 years. Just a lot of inflation to bring that price up to 397. So what we used to say maybe is a $250 Ethernet PLC, which is a great thing to learn on. It's now more like 400. I think, back then it was the price of a video game console, and I guess today video game consoles have gone up in price because I think it's still the price of a video game console. But in any case, The reason I like having a physical PLC to learn on is because a lot of times this will be something that you can actually use. You can build your own trainer, or maybe it's an OEM who wants to install it in a machine, right? And so not all vendors have a program like Proposal Works. It makes it very hard to find pricing on them. Now, some other PLCs to consider, Ethernet PLCs that you can learn on that are under, let's say, $400 or under. One would be the S7-1200. You guys know I teach a course on that as well as the Micro 800 and compact control logics, micro logics, all that. The S7-1200, I think, it's great in one way compared to the Micro 850. Now, 820. Now, the Micro 820 is great that it has free software and free simulation built into that free software. The only downside, or I shouldn't say the only downside, but the major downside with the Micro 820 as a small Ethernet PLC is it doesn't program identically to its bigger siblings like the control logics and compact logics. I think the low, and I did not look one up in here. We can do this live if you want, but I think the smallest compact logics you can get is around $1,000. You know what? Let's try it. Let's try it live. Now I did update this last week. I think the lowest one is the 5371, the compact logics L1. And let's just see if I can do it. Now these are all list prices. And and I don't know if they changed this over the 10 years since I've been self-employed, but there used to be a bigger discount on compact logics than there were on micro 800s. They wanted the list price of the micro 800 to be closer to the real price versus the micro 800. They wanted the list price to be closer to the actual price, where they give a bigger discount on the compact logics. I don't know if that's still the case, right? You guys let me know if you know. So I'm going to throw this in here. They always seem to throw an Ethernet cable in. I don't want an expensive Ethernet cable. I don't want to spend $50 for an Ethernet cable. Thank you. Not to learn at home. Maybe if you're working in the field, a $50 it just doesn't seem. That seems a little expensive. Okay, so this little guy, this L16ER, this guy used to be, I thought it was around $1,400. It's now $2,400. So this is the smallest compact logics you can get. And so when we're talking about small Ethernet PLC, if I go the Micro 850, I get the Allen Bradley. I mean the Micro 820. Don't ask me why I keep saying the Micro 850. I have no idea. If you go with the Micro 820, you get an Allen Bradley for $400. You get an Ethernet PLC, but it doesn't program like the rest of those PLCs. And yeah, I think $2,400 is just beyond what most people want to invest in their personal training. Now, having said that, another option, if you like Siemens, or if you use Siemens at work, or if where you're going to apply it is Siemens, or if you work in Europe, is the S7-1200. Now, that product is probably in that $400 range for the small guy. $400 for an S7-1200 is a great price. And the biggest advantage there is that unit programs identical to the 1500. Now the hardware is different. I've had videos where I did the high-speed counter on the 1200 and the 1500. You can see how they're different, right? So, and there's different, there's more data types in the 1500. But what I think is really good now, the S7-1200, if you just run out and buy one, right? The software's not free. You can get a free 21-day demo, but it's not free like on the 850. So that's kind of a downside. But then if we look at the upside there, they have starter kits, and I couldn't find the starter kit with just the controller. I know they have a $700 starter kit with the controller software and HMI, which is a good deal. But I was looking for the old one I used to promote in my courses in the $400 or $500 range, which were just the controller and the software, lifetime copy of the software, perpetual license. And those were in the $400 or $500 range. And that is a much better deal if you want to use Siemens, because you get a lifetime copy of the software, right? And so I could not, and I searched. And if anybody knows Siemens or has the link, throw it in the chat. Even after the show, if you want to put them in the chat, I'll try to check up on them later. But that is a phenomenal deal. Now, another good deal that I was recently, and I got a show coming up on this, is the Modicon, right? So the Modicon machine edition of their software and their little Modicons, right? There, and I don't have the exact number. Joel, great guy over at Schneider, posted a part number over in that LinkedIn discussion. And that unit, I think it was a 240 something. That unit is in the $300 range. So Ethernet PLC, it's CodeSys based. I do like what Schneider has done with the CodeSys developer. They've added their own flair to it. And when I say what I like about it, and I'll do this in the future video I'm having, is they kind of organize the project tree a little bit better, and they automatically add their hardware. So if you remember when I sat down with the Ethernet CodeSys PLC, did not automatically add the hardware. I had to kind of do some research to say, like, how do I add the backplane? So and same thing if you watch my IFM episode with their CodeSys HMI PLC, which was these are all great products. I'm just sharing my opinions with you. But in any case, and you'll find all this stuff over at theautomationblog.com. That's where I post everything. But in any case, I really like, and to have it be even cheaper than the micros from Rockwell, although it goes up to probably medium range PLC, and then there's a different an automation expert for the high end. I think it's a 62499 or something like that. The automation expert software is different than a machine expert, but still, it's a huge range that is what most people would ever use. The only thing I don't know about is I don't see that they have a starter kit that gets you the software. So they do have a 42-day trial, but if you buy a piece of hardware, you want the software forever. And I really think a starter kit that includes the software and hardware would be the way to go, like Siemens has done it. Just such a great job they've done there. And of course, we all know of Automation Direct. They have their line of products, and they typically make their software completely free. But now, if you want to talk about going really inexpensive, right, like totally free, you can always do CodeSys, right? So CodeSys, you can download the developer for free. You can simulate your HMI PLC in it, and it doesn't cost you anything. The downside with CodeSys is that the ladder editor is not. I'm gonna say modern. Okay, it's not a modern ladder editor. The old version is I'm trying to be nice, a little clumsy, and the new version is, I'm going to say, it feels like it's beta. It doesn't really work well. I'm sure there's experts out there who know how to make it work and work as good as anything else. But as somebody who's been doing this for 35 years, when I pick up your software and I can't figure it out, like I had no problems figuring out Siemens from Rockwell. Like I was converting my program and I took the limit test out of Rockwell and I did a limit in Siemens and quickly find out totally different instruction. And they actually had another instruction, which is like an in-range instruction or whatever. That made a lot of sense. And I do like the Siemens limit instruction because it actually limits your output to be within the range. So I thought that was cool too. But in any case, yeah, so easy to figure out. Great help. When you hit F1 and Rockwell or Siemens, you get all kinds of great help. CodeSys, not so much. The CodeSys help system, at least the ladder editor, I would say is not. And again, they've been around for a long time, so I'm not trying to make excuses for them. It's not like they're a brand new package that just came out, right? I'm just saying, I'm going to teach students ladder. If I have electricians coming in, whether they're coming in person or they're learning at theautomationschool.com, I'm going to be teaching them ladder. I mean, I love function block, structure text, sequential function chart. I try to cover all of those in most of my courses. It can be really time consuming to go deep into that stuff, but I plan on adding more lessons on that stuff too, because you should know all the languages, right? But in any case, level 1, I just do ladder. And so that there's a downside there. There's one other thing though I want to show you, and I'm actually going to do a course for this because I know a lot of the gamers are having, they just don't have our background, our automation background. But let me see if I can find this really quick. Again, I'm just spending lunch with you. This isn't a pre-planned, multi-million-dollar production. It's just sharing his lunchtime with you guys on LinkedIn and YouTube. I'm just typing this into a search box here, and gotta be careful. There's actually 2 different games that have to do with automation over on Steam, but I gotta show you guys. I actually hired this developer to create an app that I give away to my students at the automation school. I wanted a way to work with I'm just trying to find a preview here. I wanted to find a way that people who had nothing and was taking my course could actually do all the labs. So I hired this gentleman to create an app for me that I give away to every student, PLC student, over at the automationschool.com. But let me come over here and share this with you. And I've gone through and solved all of the lessons, and I had an absolute blast doing this. But this is the automation game. Let me see. And again, there's no affiliate link here. I'm just sharing it's something I'm passionate about. Um, I don't know if this is going to show up on both LinkedIn and YouTube. It looks like it's not showing up on LinkedIn, but this is over at steampowered.com. If you're not a gamer, that's where most of us buy our PC games. There's other places too, but anyways, we won't go into that right now. I think I'm going to be playing Planet Crafted tonight. My friends haven't played it yet, so if you want to catch that, you'll find me on my gamer YouTube channel. But in any case, this game, right? It's a $15 game, right? So you can expect like a $5,000 week at Rockwell or Siemens out of a $15 game, but this game is fun. It gets challenging because this PLC that it emulates, right, is it has some limitations, right? There's some features in this PLC like branching outputs, having multiple outputs on a rung. It doesn't support that. So as you get onto like the palletizer, it gets a little tedious having multiple rungs to do the same things, right? So you want to turn the conveyor on and you want to turn the pusher on and et cetera, et cetera. But talk about fun. So I recommend this to guy. Hey, if you only have $15 in your pocket, you want to learn PLCs. This will teach you. I mean, it's you're not going to learn a specific PLC, but it's fun. And again, if you sign up for one of my courses, you get a special edition of this game, one that was designed just for my courses at theautomationschool.com. So I would love to hear what you guys think about what is an affordable PLC to learn on. Do you disagree with my comments about the CodeSys ladder editor? I spent a lot of time with it, lost a lot of lost a lot of time struggling with it, and so other PLCs, like we've worked with the PLC Next guys, we've worked with the Wago guys. Um, are there other PLCs? Are there other vendors out there that I should be looking at? Let me know. But I did want to share that with you, my thoughts on affordable Ethernet PLCs, kind of where we stand today. But I'm sure I'm missing some, starter packs, some kits out there that, maybe new kits, maybe kits that have been around for a while. And, I would love to hear somebody make the case for Automation Direct. I've covered them in the past, but I haven't programmed them to the extent where I could say, yeah, these are great to learn automation on. Um, and with that, I think, what else do I have for lunchtime updates? So I'm worrying, one of the things that had me thinking about this is I'm updating my courses over at theautomationschool.com and filming new courses at the same time. So if you're enrolled in any of my PLC courses, you're seeing updates come there almost every day, as well as new lessons being added. And as I'm doing my new courses, I'm trying to align my old courses with the new courses. And some of the lessons, like going and downloading and installing the free software from Rockwell or Siemens or whoever, I want to update those on the original courses and the new courses. Now, the other thing I would do want to mention, if you are in any of my original courses, you're going to get the new course for free. Okay, now if you bought the ultimate bundle, you get a bunch of extra stuff on top of that. But so if you bought going back to 2014, if you bought one of my courses, you're going to get the new courses for free. If you bought level 1, you're going to get the new level 1. If you bought 1 and 2, you get the new level 1 and 2. I'm not going to make anybody repurchase something. And of course, you guys have support. You can ask questions. There's no expiration, no subscription. Just buy the course, and you have questions, you ask me. I also did something new too, where you can actually schedule a Teams meeting with me if you get stuck on a lesson. So I wanted to get that out there. But with that is about it. We do have on the automation blog, I have a great interview that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of days about IO Link. So we had a lot of success with the original IO Link podcast. This week, though, we'll be releasing a new Profinet podcast. Now, I know a lot of you maybe use Ethernet IP. I just want to let you know, I invited the Ethernet IP guys to come on the podcast, right? They not only declined, but they declined in a little kind of a cheeky, maybe kind of rude way. So I tried, right? How many times are you gonna get hit in the face before you say, "Okay, you guys don't want to come on my show? I'm okay with that." So, but we'll keep inviting everybody to come on the show, and except for the ones who pretty much tell us that they don't like us. So, in any case, if there's any vendors watching too, I met with a rep from one of the local automation distributors, and just want to get the word out to vendors. We want to cover everybody. All right, it's just me. I'm the only one who works here. I want to cover everybody, so you guys know that I've had a lot of success with the great folks at Siemens and Rockwell and Schneider, and a lot of other people too. Met with Toledo, IFM in the past, and now I'm going to forget somebody and feel bad. But I've had a lot of the other vendors that we don't commonly think of, like maybe in the first or second place. Love to get them on too. So any vendors out there, just reach out to me. Look, if you don't have $500 in your marketing budget, we'll just do the freebie version that's audio only. So in any case, with that, I think that's it. That's all I had for lunch. I don't see anybody commenting. Of course, this is episode 1, so it's a little rough. But thank you. I see some of you guys watched through the whole thing. Thank you very much for tuning in. And before I leave, if you can just say hi in the chat, so I can say hi back, so I know who was watching. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. And I got to get back to work. You guys probably have to get back to work too. But I do want to wish you good health and happiness. And until next time, my friends, peace.